Matthew E. Edwards. Since January 2002, Dr. Edwards has held the position of Professor of Physics in the Department of Physics, Chemistry, and Mathematics at Alabama A&M University, Normal, Alabama, and served as Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences from 2007 to 2011, a period of 4.5 years. At AAMU, Dr. Edwards founded the annual STEM Day in 2006. Also, he founded in 2009 and continues to direct the IDC HD&M, the Interdisciplinary Center for Health Sciences, Health Disparities, and Materials, which, as a center, has assisted more than 16 young faculty members and others to develop their research program. Thank you very much.
Session this morning. It's my pleasure to speak to you. I am a condensed matter physicist by training. I promise not to talk about physics this morning. I presently have 2 PhD students that I'm guiding, and I'm guiding 2 master's degree students. And that's one aspect of my scholar work. But the other aspect of my work that largely had its origination during the time of my period as dean is that of the mind and interdisciplinary studies and the importance of different disciplines relative to the one that I've been trained in. So my intent this morning is to share this second aspect of my scholar interest, which is interdisciplinary studies and how we are able to transition from perhaps disciplines into interdisciplinary studies and vice versa. So my topic here is realizing a disciplinary field from an interdisciplinary approach or an interdisciplinary field from disciplines. So I'm going to have this as essentially the issues I'm going to talk about, but most importantly, and I'll say that first, I'm going to introduce 6 structures that have a great deal of similarity, but there's some subtle variations that will be shown. So I'm going to talk about disciplinarian, multiple disciplinary, interdisciplinarian, and I'm speaking of a single person, not a interdisciplinary group or a multiple disciplinary group that has its own place, has its own value. But my thoughts are, how does one become one of these 3? And how does one persist, if you will, as one of the 3, if you will? Thank you. So my abstract then is to be an interdisciplinarian is to be focused, learn with a synergetic connection that has convolved between 2 or more established disciplines. Really, it's not the disciplines themselves, but it's aspects of the discipline. You can't convolve necessarily 2 disciplines, it's far too much, but aspects of different disciplines can indeed be convolved in a synergetic way and have a greater outcome. Secondly, to be multiple disciplinary is to be knowledgeable in 2 or more disciplines without this synergetic connection between them. And thirdly, to be disciplinary is to be focused, learned, and enamored with vast information and understanding in a single field of study, which indicates the ability to investigate new concepts, solve problems, and make products. And for the most part, most of us in this room were probably trained in this rather narrowly conventional restricted way. Now, the same ability to investigate new concepts, solve problems, and make products emanates from interdisciplinary career alliances, my language as well, but far less ones from multiple disciplinary ones. Once again, one person, multiple disciplinary, not groups. And so once again, and each of these career path alliances can be engaged scholarly activity on one hand, or practicing professional activities on the other. There are different people, different levels of training. Some of us are scholarly interested in certain activities, and others are professionally interested and behave in that way in the work that they do. So how to achieve a career path alliance and sustain the same is an interesting contemplation. And as I say, that's my other interest in addition to my physical science research work. To that extent, I will review what I call these career path alliances and illustrate these structures that I consider as relevant. A disciplinarian, then, ability to solve problems and make products. Very simple. We're trained that way. We're steeped in the tradition of the profession, participating in and maintaining and elevating the discipline, desire to preserve its methods, principles, and practices, conduct research, work as a scholar, or as a professional, depending on level of development or aspirations. Multiple disciplinarian, then, operating with a combination of two or more disciplines, information from two or more disciplines, not necessarily able to solve problems and make product in each discipline. Once again, I'm speaking of one individual who has gathered a tremendous amount of information, but may not be steeped or trained sufficiently well, perhaps, at any point at this time. But this person still is involved in expanding and understanding the parts, the participation in maintaining and elevating the discipline, and desire to develop their method, principle, and practices. And interdisciplinary, then, it's a synergetic connection, more discipline, to solve real-world problems. In my estimation, this is the most functional definition of interdisciplinarian. Not necessarily the connection between two disciplines per se, but it's between aspects of two or more disciplines. And it's for the purpose of solving real-world problems, if you will. And once again, this individual has the ability to solve problems and make products. There is the tendency to expand understanding and to connect parts of the various disciplines and maintain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now let me show you the first of my diagrams. I make no claim that this is all inclusive, but the structure helps me to have contextualization in what I am projecting. A picture is worth 1,000 words, my colleague said earlier this morning. So I have time on the abscissa axis, horizontal axis here. The time axis is not scaled, it's just time. And so obviously formal studies occur formal studies before college studies, BS, BA, MS, MA, PhD, or the equivalents, postdocs. All the way along that continuum, this person may have some or all of this. And then, of course, this is the entrance to the traditional disciplinarian. He, she is learned and have acquired this entrance. And of course, life experiences plus additional studies keep feeding and nurturing that disciplinary stance that individual has. And that is the model, that's the representation that I say most of us have come. Now, are there other methodologies and other approaches to become a disciplinarian? And my thoughts are, yes, there are. And there are other approaches to becoming the other two that I will speak of as well. So let me go on to my next one here. So now this is my rendition of becoming ultimately an interdisciplinarian. Once again, all of the formal training are parts of that, life experiences, additional studies, etc. And you can become a disciplinarian, just as my previous slide. However, one then can become a multiple disciplinarian, plus the convolved synergy plus expert tutelage. I do not think that you can, one, be a disciplinarian, and then you can become a multiple disciplinarian, yes. In time, we take on additional interests. We become late bloomers. We have refocusing aspects. And so all of these then, life experiences, being a late bloomer, etc., leads here and can lead to, in my estimation, an interdisciplinarian person. Thirdly, all of the formal training are parts of it, etc., for this person, this abstract person that we're thinking of. Life experiences plus additional studies, and this person becomes a multiple disciplinarian and has a wealth of knowledge, vast understanding. But this one individual, once again, not a group, may or may not be an expert, quote unquote, in any one area. That's my estimation. That's what my research shows. Learn, though, but maybe not able to be a scholar with writing and producing, etc., individually, but could very well work in a group of other multiple disciplinarians. So that's my third estimation here of arriving at this place. So the first was the traditional arrival at being a disciplinarian. Yes, basic, fundamental. My estimation number two of arriving at being an interdisciplinarian. And now my arrival at being a multiple disciplinarian. So thirdly, a fourth here, figure 1D, is now to arrive at an interdisciplinarian from the last slide. All of the other features are there, and I've added just that last portion there. But a multidisciplinary plus this convolved synergy plus expert tutelage, I believe, are paramount to become a person able to be a scholar or professionally operational interdisciplinarian. Okay, 4. I will come back to this slide and speak to it further. Now this is another way, so this is the methodology that I believe that other individuals can become a disciplinarian. All of the formal training is there, all of the formal training, etc., life experiences, additional studies. Now you become a multiple disciplinary first. But then you defocus, but plus some expert tutelage, and I believe you can become a disciplinarian. Figure 1E versus 1A. 1A is the traditional standard method of becoming knowledgeable expert in your field without having gone through this multiple disciplinary step. You just do all of this learning, focus understanding, and expert tutelage as your PhD, master's, the thesis advisor, etc., postdoc, and you emerge as a disciplinarian capable of carrying on that profession. I believe this methodology is appropriate and can be used, and I believe to a great extent that socioeconomics variation between peoples and groups of people are manifested between my figure F1E and F1A. I believe individuals who come with having had a great deal of experiences or a pedagogy from family history, etc., can probably walk right into 1A and emerge as a disciplinarian, well-trained, functional, etc. I believe that some individuals will probably find, particularly those individuals who did not have the wherewithal to get this straight in the beginning, will come this way and over time work themselves to that place, if that's where he wants to be. And that's the beauty, I believe, of what this conference represents, is that I believe there's enough for all. If I have colleagues on my campus who are strong disciplinarians who will not talk to me about interdisciplinary studies. Well, okay. If that's how you want it, if that's what your cup of tea, then that's fine. But I believe that one size doesn't fit all, and therefore the wherewithal to have both or many is what the 21st century is going to require of the world. So let me now go on here. This is another way that I believe you can achieve the disciplinary. And once again, socioeconomics, I think, is entwined here innately. Once again, all the formal training, life experiences, emerge first as a multiple disciplinarian here. Then you can become an interdisciplinarian. Plus, you deconvolve. I love these words. But expert tutelage again, and you can emerge as a disciplinarian. I do not think you get to be an interdisciplinary or a disciplinary without expert tutelage of some kind. It may be at the beginning of training from the thesis advisor, dissertation advisor. Later in life, it may be at, say, I go to the government labs. I work at NASA sometimes in the summer, or the Air Force lab, and that's where you get this expert tutelage by the interface, the interaction between persons in that environment. And once again, you can emerge here if that's where you wish to be. So, one size does not fit all, I say again. These structures help me see the variety and the different flavors that we can choose for ourselves. I think this may be incomplete. I'm very sorry. I did not finish this slide. But here, multiple disciplinary first, interdisciplinary plus deconvolvement. That must be very similar to the last one. Those two must be the same. Sorry. Okay. Let me then just give some ideas of what I'm thinking about here. With robust training, one can be a disciplinarian, no question about that. A interdisciplinarian or a multiple disciplinary. The results of fundamental training, beginning level education, can result directly in being either a disciplinarian or a multiple disciplinarian. It can indeed. And early training here is after college, after that level, minimally, after master's, PhD, as the case may be. Once achieved a level of involvement, a person may persist in any one of the career paths, alliances without change over time. That may be. I have colleagues who have been a disciplinarian for 35 years, and that's what they will continue to be. And that's fine. The transition from multiple disciplinary to disciplinary requires the additional assistance of expert tutelage, however varied that may be. It is not just an accumulation of additional facts, not just more and more information, but it has to be at some point put in some context, some grounding way, so that it becomes scholar work at some point. The transition from multidisciplinary to interdisciplinary requires both the addition of assistance of expert tutelage and convolved synergy. The last word phrase there is difficult to put your hands around. I grapple with exactly what that means, and probably many of you do as well. But my colleague here spoke as a bioengineer this morning. That's clearly interdisciplinary. The language is brought from biology, from medicine to engineering, and some synergy at some point has to occur for the best to come out of all of the portions. One additional aspect of myself, I am a condensed matter physicist, yes, but most of my work, research work, is in material science. we are measuring pyroelectric, dielectric, and resistivity properties of organic thin films that have implications for thermal sensors and solar cells. Majorly interdisciplinary right off the cuff. Biology, I'm sorry, not biology in this case, but chemistry, math, physics, electrical engineering, all those aspects are immediately involved with the type sensors that we are developing and the materials that are being considered. So there we are. Some literature is cited, and I think I'll quit there.